Knetter. Yeah. Where should we start? Does it even start? I will show you in a bit. This is a 1985 Toyota MR2 AW11. My radiator was leaking. I never ever drove this car, just to be honest, but my radiator was leaking. And yeah, what I'm doing here, crazy. I just chopped these pieces out of the radiator, you know. This bracket also came off. And I used JBweld on the inside to completely seal it. Actually used marine weld. Afterward I just filled it up, checked for leaks, but there were no leaks no more. I even JBwelded this piece on here, so I put 2 of these tie wraps on to just be sure, but I can just lift it up on here so it's stiff. Quickly spray painted it with some paint to keep the rust away, or at least hold it back. This is going to be a temporary fix, just so I won't have to be filling up the coolant every time I put it inside and outside. Shouldn't have to be worried. Just quickly walk around the car. Yeah, there's rust. Yeah, there's rust. Yeah, there's rust. Still decent subframe. But that's because I already treated that once before, a couple of years ago. Just like the exhaust, but the exhaust is not completely mounted properly. So it's a bit leaky, but whatever. The engine is filthy as can be. There was a bit of leakage over here as well from the water system. Yeah. The radiator is held in at the bottom with 4 bolts, but one of the mounting pieces snapped off, but it's not that heavy of a piece, I guess, so 3 of them will hold them in. I cleaned up these threads, and these 2, and those, because the radiator is mounted to the fan, and then it's mounted on the car over here. You can normally lift it out from the bottom, from the top, I think, but since my bumper is not on, I just took it out through here, and I just took the support. The support I just took off for now, so I can access it very easily. You can judge my paint, yeah, but judge this paint. What's up? If you want to look at my paint, just look at the paint underneath my hood. I'm not going to reuse the old hardware on this one. Fresh hardware. These 2 pieces fit into there, and these 2 brackets clamp it on here, and the radiator and the fan is just bolted in, attached to each other. I used bolts that are quite long, but I think it's not a problem. So now the hoses need to get back on, and the radiator wiring from the fans need to put back in, and also there's a sensor, coolant sensor. So bottom hose connected, temperature sensor connected. So this piece is back on from the top, there and there. So the radiator is basically in, top hose and the fans. Let's fill her up. I might take a small break first to let this dry up, because when I put the hose on there came water running from the hose. So yeah, let's see if the fans spin freely. No problem. Let's go. There's like this entire thing you have to do to properly bleed this car, but we're not gonna do that today. It's nice green fluid, and since the cooling system is pretty big, it takes quite a while to fill it up. Don't ask me how much goes in there. I do feel like the coolant is still pretty clean for what age this car has, but I'm just putting back the coolant that I got out of it, so as you can tell it's not that dirty. Since the coolant has to go like from the engine, which is over there, all the way to the front radiator and back and whatever, it's quite a big system. I got like 3 to 4 liters out of it and back in it, and it's like there's some fluid in there. I'm going to put a little bit more in there and fire it up. Topped it off, pinched the hoses a bit on both sides there, a bit over there, and then topped it off a bit more. And when the car was running and the coolant would leak, and if there was no or less coolant in there, I think idle is not properly set. Can somebody tell me if that's true? Because the water pump has to do such a lot of work that if there's air in the system, the idle will not be properly set. The car starts up and idles, at least it did before I was tinkering with the radiator, but when it's hot or at operating temperature, the idle would be so low. I was like, I'm not sure if it's correct. And when the coolant was a bit out of there, then I think the idle would actually stall the engine. But yeah, let's see. Let's grab my key. If anybody is wondering, these tires, I think they are from a Honda Civic. So they are JDM, but yeah. Is there any leaks yet? That's the water that was already there, so if there would be a leak, I would probably see it. But let's try and heat it up and see if it leaks when it's hot. Back to the future. At least that's how I feel when I get in here. Not bad for 40 years old. And running. My oil pressure is dropping. There's like a oil pressure sender on there that's like not properly connected. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's not the original one. This one is like on completely or it's off. So sometimes the connection fails and then it's like off again, and sometimes it's connected and then it goes to fully high. So I think my oil pressure is no problem. I think the gauge for the petrol seems to work, and the temperature should work as well. I've seen it rise before, so let's wait for it. My raggedy exhaust. Tell me, does it sound okay? I hope so. Whoa, it's sunny outside, man. Don't judge me on my no power steering skills, because this is basically the first time I'm driving this car. Or basically the second time I'm driving this car around the building. So yeah, already happy it's moving. Just second gear for now, chilling. I have no idea if this engine is actually still good, or is it maybe old and yeah, who knows? Yeah. Even though I'm quite sure my exhaust is not really properly connected. Yeah. It's reasonably quiet in here. You see the temperature is rising. You see it. Idle's okay now at this point. Let's see what it will do when it reaches its operating temperature. I assume that it will, the needle will be in the middle over there in a bit, but I don't know. I think due to the exhaust not being properly connected, I feel like it's not revving up very fast. Maybe, yeah, I'm not used to the gearing or something, but I'm in first gear now. But well, it feels alright, I guess. It's not that difficult to handle, I think. The sun is bright though. Well, I guess it's not a race car, right? It's a sports car. So it's a fun sports car. Slow as F, maybe, but whatever. Let's have some fun with it. Still dry in the front. No water coming from the radiator. That's how we like it. I occasionally rebuild scooters, and when I build the engine, you would let it heat cycle a couple of times before you really drive it. Would you do the same thing with like a car that's been standing still for like a very, very long time? Or would you just drive it? Since I cannot even drive it on the road, I'm already happy that I can drive around the building, yeah? Yeah, I won't be driving it, but therefore we can just let it heat cycle a bit. I love the sound though, it's great. The engine in this car is like a famous 4AG, or infamous, whatever what you like to call it. It can leak oil sometimes, but there's like nothing underneath. When I had it inside for like a couple of days after driving it in, there was like one drop. So it's like quite hot. And temperature is like a bit below the middle, so it's not completely high up. Idle's over there. I'm really trying to be very careful that I don't break anything, but you do hear some rattling somewhere, but I'm not sure what that is. I don't feel like it's necessarily like engine related or something. Maybe it's like a clip or something. Maybe the oil sender unit is like on the back side of this engine underneath there. I touched the cables before and then the meter went up again. But maybe, yeah, if I can get it, I would love to have like the OEM sensor on there back again, but yeah. Wouldn't really be surprised if there was like a small rod knock or something somewhere, but because it does like tick a bit somewhere in here, but I'm not that concerned right now. Give it a bit and see where the idle returns to. Pretty stable. 3 minutes away from the 50, what I was saying. And temperature is still good. I hope it's still dry. Just so you know, I didn't really do anything to this engine yet. Just check the timing and all that stuff. So I have no idea where the adjustment is at. Well, anybody who knows this stuff can tell me. I do feel like there's some sound coming from there that's not completely alright, but I'm not sure if it actually, yeah, when you rev it. Do you hear it? That's happening as well. So when the engine is hot, idle is not properly set, but yeah. Just look at the engine. It needs some love. You can see now that my oh, hey, my my horn is working. Oil pressure is up to max now. So you see, so that sender is like on or off sender, and yeah, it's still easy to start up and stuff. Idle is a bit too low, but it's alright. Let's let it cool off and then I'll top the coolant off a bit more and stuff. But yeah, good enough for today.